Well, hello there, everybody. It is Gerda here with a surprise live stream at 5:17 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon. Yes, I am here. Let's make sure I am live in the right place. That's always a good first step, and so I am. Alrighty, let's do this. Just gonna hang on a couple of seconds and see if anybody decides to join me live, making it so much more fun. Thoughts around discounts. Reduce fees. All right. Get in here. Cool. Let's see what happens. Hopefully, some of you will join me. It says I've got 2 viewers. If you are watching, please say hi and hello in the comments. That way I actually know that I'm speaking to someone and I can actually use your name, which is pretty cool. Yes, what have you been up to today, being Wednesday? I have been sitting at this desk almost non-stop today. It was one of those days. Yes, I did my PPS Academy group coaching mentoring session this morning, but the rest of the day was a lot of paperwork type stuff, a lot of admin type stuff, which I don't particularly enjoy doing, but I'm not complaining. Right? It was really easygoing. Had an opportunity to walk down to the beach, just watch the ocean for a bit, and I still have the energy at 20 past 5 in the afternoon to still do a live stream. Of course, I want to talk to you guys. All right. So I'm just going to get stuck into it. I'm thinking a lot of you might be making dinners and stuff like that, or maybe still doing homework with the kids, or maybe still even on your way home. So if you do watch this via the replay, please still say hi, say hello, engage with me in there, because I will come back to check the comments. That being said, my family is home as well. So if you hear any background noises, that is them in the background. You know, this is, what's this called? The witching hour? I don't know. That hour after 5, between 5 and 6:30, where everything's just going crazy. So, all right. I entitled this Thoughts Around Discounts, but I want to start this by firstly saying thank you so very much to each and every one of you that participated in the birthday bonanza. I must tell you, the birthday bonanza day is one of the most fun days for me, and it is so freaking full on, like constantly emails coming in, responding to emails, and it is just so exciting when I put up a post and within 20 seconds I get the first email, and to see who's got their finger on the trigger at the ready to participate. It's just a fun day, right? So thank you so much for everybody that participated, for emailing with me, for chatting with me in between when email links got missing and stuff like that. It was really great fun. So part of what I was doing today in doing paperwork and admin was just tying up all the loose ends after the birthday bonanza. As with any campaign or launch that you have in your practice, you need to always go through the whole entire process, right? And the review at the end of it, the evaluation of how did this new process, policy, system, promotion, or whatever it is, campaign work, you need to evaluate it. You need to review it so you can make informed decisions for next time. So you can always do things better, smarter, and in a more efficient way, right? That's what we are always looking at. And I did the same for the birthday bonanza. And I actually worked out, yes, I most certainly worked out, how much income did I make as a business, because although there were resources that were free, there were also, the majority of resources were at least 50% off. There was one, I think, that was 75% off, but the majority was 50% off, right? So yes, most certainly I made some money off those resources and trainings and stuff. But when I worked it out, I also wanted to work out how much did I gift to my community? How much, free stuff did I offer? And I think it's still on my phone here from when I worked it out. I just finished it earlier. And the total of free stuff or discounts that I gave away during the 2022 birthday bonanza, was $14,986.70. So it's like, we can round that up. I think this can be rounded up to $15,000. And I just went, oh my goodness, that's a lot of money. I've gifted a lot of money and it feels so freaking good. It really feels so good because I can also see when people reach out, there are names that I've never worked with, not in a program, not in the academy. So a lot of people got the opportunity to hear from Guatemala, see my stuff, see my teachings, my trainings, my templates, my resources for the very first time. So, and that feels really good that somebody that might not normally be able to access it is able to access it once a year during the birthday bonanza. Now, if you've known me for some time, I'm sure you will know that I'm not someone that does discounts. I do not discount my coaching. I do not discount the mentoring I provide. People do ask, and I respect that people have the right to ask, but I say no, right? I know my boundaries. I also don't discount the stuff that is sold on my website, except during birthday bonanzas. And again, I would have people reach out to me and say, give me a couple of reasons normally of why they would like it at a reduced price with a discount. And my default response is no. I'm very clear on my boundary when it comes to pricing. I'm very clear on making sure that I am charging not what I am worth, because it's not about me, but making sure that I am charging the worth of the results that people get when they do my training, when they do my courses, that I am charging for the outcomes, the benefits, many of which are very tangible in terms of more clients, more team, more money, more time, more freedom, but a lot are also intangible benefits, like feeling less friggin' overwhelmed, feeling more in control, more confident, knowing who you are and what you are here to do. Those benefits are worth so much. And that is the stuff that I charge for when I charge for my coaching, my mentoring, and all my other resources. And I will not discount that unless it is the birthday bonanza. Because this is the thing. I might have strong boundaries around not giving discounts because I know what results people get when they work with me or when they do, trainings that I've presented previously that you can do online as self-study or just use some of the resources. I've got that confidence in that, right? And therefore I know that that is what it is worth. I would do myself a disservice not to make it available at the rates that I make it available at. However, I can still be flexible and go, you know what? Because I'm always charging at that rate that I should be charging at, because I don't undercharge, because I don't just say yes to requests for discounts, reduce amounts willy-nilly, as they say, because I do that, 11 out of 12 months, come May each year, I can do the freaking birthday bonanza and I can enjoy every freaking minute of it, right? And that's what allows me to do it. The fact that I'm always charging the correct rates helps me to do the birthday bonanza every year during May, and I can do it without thinking, without worrying, knowing that it is going for a good cause. It is helping people that need it, that maybe previously couldn't access it, and that it's not going to really impact my bottom line. There's a freaking fly around here that is annoying me. and that's the important part. I can do it because I know what impact, if any, it will have on my bottom line. And how's this relevant to you? I'm sure you're thinking of that. I'm sure you're asking that question. Well, I know that a lot of times you will get requests for discounts in your practice. It might not be for you directly. It or it might be a client asking you directly in session, you know, can I get a discount? I know what we often hear at our own practice and from other practices that I work with as part of the Private Practice Success Academy, and even the work that we do with Halo, is that we get a shit ton of people asking for bulk billing, asking for concessional rates, asking for reduced fees, asking for discounts, asking for cheaper rates. And you know what? It is okay for people to ask. I really want you guys to go, it is okay. Personally, I'm not one to ask for discounts, and some people just don't, right? Is that a pride thing? I don't know, for some people maybe. For me, I'm happy to pay whatever if I think I'm going to get the value. So that's a whole different conversation in terms of making sure that you are good at communicating the value you provide through your marketing and through your branding, right? But even if you do that really well, you are still going to have that person, even if they 100% sold on your value and they know that you might even be with double what you're charging, they will still ask for a discount, because that's how they put together. It's like they like to get a bargain. I mean, I like to get a bargain, right? I'm really good at negotiating stuff like leases and stuff like that. That's where my negotiation skills and offering much lower than they want comes in. But when I'm working with other professionals, taking my kids to see professionals, I will never ask for a discount. So my point I'm making is, never get offended when somebody asks, right? Always make sure that you know that you're consistently doing the work to do the marketing and the branding that tells people that you are worth that money and more, okay? Then of course, when the time comes, you need to do the doing, right? Your stuff needs to deliver. You always need to ask yourself, does my stuff deliver? And then you can charge that. But it's okay for people to ask for a discount. But similarly, it is okay for you to say no. To say no without feeling bad, without feeling guilty. And if you have found that you have been saying yes more and more and more of late, you need to ask yourself, what is driving that? Is that being driven? Hey, Valerie, I'm just seeing you commenting here on my laptop. I can't see it on the desktop, but I can see it on the laptop. So you need to ask yourself, why have I been discounting services? Is it because I feel guilty? Is it because I just find it too hard to say no? Is it because I'm just too tired to even give reasons for why we don't have that conversation? Maybe it's because right now you just feel this collective, with other professionals in the community, and people need to help and support people that's struggling out there, right? Maybe it's a really strong social justice value that you have where you want to give back to people and support people that can't afford it. You need to ask yourself, what is driving you to say yes to discounts? And then you need to ask yourself whether that is a helpful reason, whether that is a resourceful reason to say yes or to say no, right? Very, very important. This is self-reflection that needs to happen for you. Irrespective of why you're saying yes to discounts or concessional rates, whatever you want to call it, or maybe even to bulk billing still, you then need to ask yourself, if I say yes to this amount of bulk bills, concessional, reduced fee clients, what does that mean for the numbers? What impact does that have, firstly, on top line revenue, on profit, okay, on contribution to OPEX? You need to ask yourself that questions, because a lot of times we don't even know what the answers to that is, okay? Because a lot of times we just make those yes or no decisions from the heart. We are heart people, we are helpers. A majority of us are females, so we are generally even more intuitive in our saying yes, because it's our decision making. So, and I don't want to stereotype here, but that's females. Most men are more logical in their decision making. Of course, I'm just generalizing here, right? This is not the same across the board. And sometimes what happens, people just go to the one extreme. They either say yes all the time, or they now decide, this has not worked for me, now I'm just going to say no to everything. And really what you want to do is really find a place in the middle. You never want to lose your heart in business. You do not want to lose that wanting to help, wanting to support. But you have to marry that up with the numbers. So you need to bring the hard stuff closer and you need to bring the logical stuff closer. And those two things need to marry up in order for you to say yes to providing discounts, to providing bulk bill services, etc., right? The numbers need to work. You need to know when you say yes, what impact is it having on the bottom line? What impact is it having on, which is profit, on top line revenue? Unless you can answer those, you need to say no. That's my advice to you. Unless you know what that impact is, you need to say no. Once you know what that impact will be, then you know how many times you can say yes. And then you can even have a policy, should you choose to do so, of for every one day that a clinician consults at the practice, they can take on one bulk bill client, or one reduced fee client, or one concessional client. You can do those things. I'm not saying you should, okay? We don't do that at my practice. We don't discount at my practice. I would preface that with one exception. I'll come back to that. But when people are calling in, asking for discounts, bulk billing, concession fees, it is an outright no. Unfortunately, we don't do that. These are our fees, okay? If they say they can't afford it, we will refer them on to another practice that we know who might be doing bulk billing or who we know charge a cheaper rate than us. We constantly refer on clients. And that is because my way of thinking filters through what it is that happens at the practices, right? And that is that no new clients will ever be given a discount, concession fee, or anything like that. Now, the exception that I mentioned was that if we have a current client that's been a client for at least a couple of sessions that has all of a sudden landed in financial distress, and the clinician comes to us and says, this client's really struggling, I would love to keep them in therapy, guess what we have the ability to do? We then have the ability to go, all right, yes, let's approve, reduce fees for the next 3 sessions and then reassess and revisit. We now have the ability to do that. Why? Because as a general rule, we don't bulk bill. We don't give reduced fees. We stick to the fees that we have. And it's same, and that's that analogy with me in the birthday bonanza. Because most of the year, 11 out of 12 months, I don't reduce my services, I can do that during my birthday month of May, which is the 12th month, right? So that is the stuff that you need to think through. It is not as simple as I do that or I don't. You need to think through all these things because every decision you make in business has a consequence, has an impact. Sometimes it impacts systems, sometimes it impacts people. And in this instance, it will probably impact both, right? But the big impact will be on people, because if your business ain't making money, you can't keep your doors open and then nobody wins. Your clinicians won't have a job, your admin won't have a job, you won't have a business, and the clients lose because they can't see you. So the numbers need to add up, and that is the fundamental principles of having a business. If you are a for-profit business, the numbers need to add up. That's the financial principles upon which a for-profit business is built upon. Okay, so how long have I been talking? I think I've been talking for long enough, but I hope that makes sense. And I thought I'm going to come share this with you guys because I've been thinking and reflecting on it as I've been working through all of this stuff following the birthday bonanza. And, I'm always in talks with my principal psychologists at the practice and things that is happening there. So what are your thoughts? Would love to hear your views, your opinions, and how you approach this at your practice. All right. Thanks again so much for participating in the birthday bonanza. Have an amazing week. And remember, I am here to help you build a private practice you can't stop smiling about. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.